So Marjorie Taylor Greene was on Matt Gaetz' podcast, and she said something that went rather viral. Take a look.
These large corporations
The military-industrial complex.
Military-industrial complex is a major issue. So I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism. Corporate communism destroys small businesses in America, and I have a very good example from my district. They destroy the small businesses, and the corporations gain all the control, and they can't be defeated. And they do the bidding of the government, like they're doing. Biden's saying, the government's not going to mandate vaccines, but the big corporations are doing it. Corporate communism, they're putting the policy in place through their businesses on their employees and on their customers, like we've seen with the airlines.
Okay, so she gets that exactly backwards. Now, by the way, she mentioned the airlines at the end. Oh, we've seen this with the airlines. The airlines were saved in a package that was passed under Donald Trump, the person who she thinks is like a demigod. So wait, are you against the bailout of the airlines? Now, by the way, you should be. I'm against it because we saw what happened. They fired tens of thousands of fucking people, tens of thousands of them, and took billions anyway. Okay, well, if you fire people, we gave you the money so you didn't have to fire people, but you fired people anyway, so give the money back, bitch. So, like, I agree. Shouldn't have bailed out the airlines, or definitely shouldn't have bailed them out in the way that they did. So she brings up the bailouts, but she doesn't tell you, and she wouldn't tell you because she's a fucking partisan hack, that it was under her daddy Donald Trump that they did that. So that's the first point, and that's a rather important point. She just flips it right on its head because she says, so corporations end up doing the bidding of the government. No, exactly backwards. The government does the bidding of the corporations. You flipped it. It's the corporations with all of the power. They're the ones with all the power because we live in what really is an oligarchy or a corporatocracy. That's what we live in. It's not a democracy. It's not a republic. What we live in is a corporatocracy or an oligarchy. The multinational corporations run the show. Billionaires run the show. But she flips it as if it's the big, powerful government that's telling these corporations what to do. I wish, because at least the government in name is us. It's supposed to be us. So she says, she's also just confused in this, by the way. There's a lot of things that just don't add up. She says, they bring up the military-industrial complex at the beginning, and then they say, she goes, yeah, that's corporate communism. The military-industrial complex is corporate communism? No, the military-industrial complex is what happens when you have legalized bribery and corruption. So what you have is so-called defense contractors. They pay the politicians when they run their campaigns. And then when the politicians get in power, they end up, it's I scratch your back, you scratch mine. So they serve those interests and they pass, whatever it may be. They might do a no-bid contract for them to build a certain number of tanks. They might do a no-bid contract for them to build fighter jets or whatever. But ultimately, you have a lot of things that are not needed that are created, and they sit in the middle of the desert in Nevada. And the only reason they were created in the first place is because of the corruption, because of the legalized bribery and the corruption. But she calls it corporate communism, which makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense. How is that corporate communism? That has nothing to do with communism. It has to do with legalized corruption and bribery. See, but this is, I'm telling you guys, she's trying to sound like she's anti-establishment without actually being anti-establishment. So it's just corporate communism, something, I guess. By the way, she very famously, there was a tweet that everybody was ripping to shreds because she said something along the lines of, under a communist system, a small percentage at the top gets all the wealth and everybody else struggles. You just described America under capitalism right now. Right now. How did you not understand that? How did you not see that? How do you say those words with a straight... I mean, she's not playing with a full deck. I'm trying to be nice about it. I'm trying to pad it a little bit, but she's not playing with a full deck. The military-industrial complex is corporate communism. By the way, a lot of these people like to, they like to hint that they're anti-war, but then ultimately when the voting comes, very few of them are actually principled on that. Now, I guess you could say Rand Paul is because he's more libertarian-leaning. Matt Gaetz has worked on some issues. He tried to draw down in Afghanistan, so you can give him credit on that. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I haven't seen anything yet on that front. And also, if they really meant it, they should have called out Trump for staying in Afghanistan. And they're not really doing that. They should be attacking Biden. Biden just got right back in Afghanistan and started bombing again. I didn't hear Marjorie Greene say anything about that. Again, I would support if you attacked Biden right now and went in the media and said, get the fuck out of, you said you were going to get out, get the fuck out of Afghanistan. I'd be doing segments praising Marjorie Taylor Greene, but she doesn't do that. because they don't really believe it, or to the extent they do believe it, it's an ancillary point, because all they want to do is bash the left 24/7 and talk about wokeness bad, wokeness bad. Yeah, we get it. You want to make the same point 417 different ways? I mean, this is what they do. This is all day, every day. And then they say corporate communism destroys small businesses. If you really wanted to protect small businesses, okay, break up the big businesses. You better take a stand on anti-monopoly stuff, antitrust stuff. If you start doing that, I'll believe you. But if you're just all talk and you don't do anything on monopoly stuff, well, you can fuck right off. And that's the thing. Again, all talk. Do you really want to take care of small businesses and go after the big businesses? Break up the big businesses and get money out of politics so the corporations can't buy the government. That's how you go after the big corporations, and that's how you protect the small businesses. So, but again, they don't really care about that shit. They're just partisan hacks, and they're doing their little tap dance, and she's trying to go after the left and came up with corporate communism as a term. Listen, here, I'll define it for you because this is what she really means when she says it. Corporate communism is everything I, Marjorie Taylor Greene, don't like. Thank you. Very brilliant.